Good evening, everyone. We're here once again in hopes of bringing the word. I'm Brother Nate. Also, we have the other Brother Nate as well. And our goal here is to bring the word of God as far as prophecy is concerned and, add the Bible to it as far as discernment so we can get a clear understanding as to what's going on in society biblically. So we are prepared and also aware of what's necessary for us to prepare for the end of the world and the coming of the Lord. So we do have a few articles today that we need to go over. Very important things that are taking place in society. And we won't be long. We just try to give it a good hour from there, and we'll give it a good hour and go from there, and reintroduce some more things the following week. So peace to everyone that's watching online, and hopefully if you unfortunately we don't take any questions on here. We can acknowledge comments, but like I said, it's mainly just to get understanding on the different things that are happening around us. So uh, first thing we want to talk about is all the things that are going on in the world pertaining to China and Russia, European Union, and the Lord's Army, which we know is Russia, Iran, and all their allies. You may know some. You may be familiar with Brics. I think it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And from my understanding, there are also more nations that are trying to come on. Matter of fact, excuse me, I think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be starting in 2026. More countries are supposed to be coming on to BRICS, and in addition to that, the European Union has about 28 member states that make up the European Union at this particular time, and they are actually talking about 10 nations that will make up, the European Union in the future and will fight on behalf of the Pope. So let's go look at something right quick. And as we watch this video, we'll come back and address it pertaining to scriptures. This right here is talking about how Netanyahu met with Trump pertaining to attacking Iran. So once again, Israel is trying to provoke Iran. So that being the case, it's something that we all need to really, really keep an eye out for, because Iran is the Lord's army. Russia is the Lord's army. China. These are three, major components that make up the Lord's army, and Israel is just constantly trying to provoke them. So let's just go look at that right quick. I'm gonna pull this up and we'll kind of read over it. So give me 1 second here. And we have several things we want to address this evening. So, all right. So in this one right here, as you can see, it says Trump says he'll support an Israeli attack on Iran if Tehran continues its missile program. So one thing I think is hypocritical about this is that all these other nations, especially pertaining to Europe, they can somehow, have all the different weapons that they want, but at the same time, they want to stop Iran from developing theirs. So it's just more so, you got a fight going on inside the house, inside the family. So let's just take a look at this. President Trump said on Monday that he would support an Israeli attack on Iran if Tehran continues its conventional missile program, or if it works to rebuild its civilian nuclear program that was damaged by U.S. airstrikes during the U.S.-Israeli war on the Islamic Republic in June. So if you can recall, a few months ago, something that we never thought would happen in our time, as far as so soon, Israel did hit Iran. And Netanyahu has met with Trump this week to see about doing it again. Me as a man, I don't understand why they keep trying to provoke this situation, but at the same time, biblically, I do understand why, because it has to fall, and these are, like I say, key players in the chess on the chessboard. So, like it says here, the president made the comments at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida before a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, when asked if he would back more Israeli attacks on Iran. So, in other words, he's saying he'll support it if they continue with the missiles. Yes, the nuclear fast, he said. One would be yes, absolutely, he added, appearing to reference Iran's missiles. The other was we'll do it immediately, he said, referencing the possibility of Iran rebuilding its nuclear program. The president also threatened to knock the hell out of Iran if it builds up again. So one thing about this is that we have to understand that, it's like poking the bear. No pun intended, because I say that because even in the Bible, Russia and Iran, Darius and the Medes, Cyrus and the Persians, they are considered, they are described as a bear in the Bible. But we can kind of see that they just constantly being provoked, and eventually it's gonna jump off. But the Lord is the one behind the scene that's gonna muster up the battle. So that's one thing we wanted to point out on that right there. We have some more things, but I before I go forward, I do want to just kind of look at something right quick, because I want to show you in the Bible. If you do have your Bibles, let's go to Daniel. Let's go to the book of Daniel, and then we'll move on to the next article. But let's go to the book of Daniel, and I'm gonna pull it up on my screen so you may be able to see it. Let's see here. So we're gonna go to Daniel 11, and even though it's kind of light skirmishes now, in the end, once we get closer to the end before the Lord makes his return, these skirmishes gonna pick up. It's gonna get a whole lot worse than what it is now. But let's just look at some Daniel chapter 11, and we're gonna pick this up at verse 36. And if you can, Nate, go ahead and read that for me, please. I need to add you to the. Hold on one second. Let's see here. All right, you on there now? Are you still on there? I don't know if he's froze or what. Look like he's froze, y'all. I think he is. Let me see here. Yeah, I think something going on. Let me text him and see if he's here. Think something happened. I don't know if he got taken offline or what. Yeah, I think he might have. So he should be coming back up here soon. Give me 1 second, you guys. All right. So what we'll do is that while we're waiting on that, I'm gonna go ahead and read that for us. So as you can see here, it is Daniel chapter 11. And this right here, doing this right here is mainly for, like I said, to get understanding as to what's going on in society now, so we can be prepared as much as possible. So Daniel 11 and verse 36. It says, and the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I think he's in now. Let me see if I can bring him up. All right, let's go ahead and bring him up. All right, give me a mic check.
Mic check.
All right, you guys can hear Nate pretty good. Give me a thumbs up in the chat, please. Okay, cool. All right. All right. So we're gonna read this. We're gonna read Daniel chapter 11. I'm gonna just see if I can bring it on screen right quick. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. We're gonna stop that article and let's see if we can bring up the Bible so we all can just kind of follow along. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we're gonna look at like I said, we're gonna look at Daniel chapter 11, and then let's pick this up at verse 36. All right. Can you see that? I'm gonna make it bigger, so give me 1 second. All right, just go ahead and read that for me.
Said verse 37.
36.
And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the
Okay.
desire of women,
Finish that.
nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all.
Okay, so essentially what's gonna happen is we kind of seeing, like I said, we're seeing somewhat provocation going on by the European Union, which would be the western part of you look at Europe and Africa and stuff like that, go all the way to the west. They will be provoking the east even all the way until we get down to the very end. Right now, like I said, it's mainly just small skirmishes, but it will pick up. But as you can see in verse 36, like it says here, and the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. So we haven't got there yet, but the Pope is the king of the world. And we're gonna see that. I have some I'm gonna show you based on what happened last night at Putin's home. It was a bomb dropped on his house last night by a drone. And the Pope even came out and said, trying to give Putin advice on how to respond, mainly asking him to respond by way of peace. But these moves are provocations. But let's skip down to verse 40 and read that.
And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, and with horsemen, and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon.
That's right. So it's going to get to the point where the Pope is mainly going to have 85% control. He's not going to be able to do anything to the Lord's army as far as Russia and Iran and those countries are concerned. Their allies not going to be able to do anything to them, but definitely going to provoke them. But up until that time, he going to have power over a great part of the world. And he gonna go down. Egypt gonna try to fight against them. That's not gonna work. That's why it says in verse 40, and at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, with horsemen, and with many ships. And because when you think about it, this army having 10 nations to support it all in one accord, that's a lot of soldiers. So a little small country down in Africa, south of Jerusalem, which is what we're really talking about, because everything is relative to Jerusalem. So they're not gonna be able to do nothing. Then eventually in verse 41 it says, he shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom, Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon, because that's where the Lord is gonna hide his church during this time. What else to say?
He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape.
Uh-huh.
But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over
Mm-hmm.
all the precious things of Egypt. And the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps.
Right. So he gonna take them over. Like I say, they're not gonna be able to they're not gonna be able to withstand the European Union, that particular country down there. Like you see the Bible talking about Egypt, the Libyans, Ethiopians, because they're gonna take that over. That's gonna be nothing to them. But just note what it says in the next verse, because what we kind of see going on today with all this stuff going on with Ukraine and Russia, America is behind it, but we really don't see the major power that's behind it. And the one that's really running all this, the one that's really, that's trying to, where the Lord is allowing it, we can negate that, right? So it's almost like he got it set up how he wanted, but at the same time, we can see physically, or we can hear physically on the news and stuff like that. We can see the articles and see the videos and stuff that is actually happening, So that's why 44 says what?
But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him.
Okay, so out of the east, and in this case right here, out of the east and out of the north, we talking about northeast. Everything is relative to Jerusalem. So northeast in this case, like I say, would be Russia, Iran, China, all those guys over there. When you look at the European continent or African continent, so to the very east, not talking about America. America is not considered the West. As a matter of fact, America is going to start taking a back seat as these countries start to come up. All right, what else to say?
Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy, and utterly to make away many.
Uh-huh.
And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him.
Okay, and that's essentially what's going to happen. That, European Union going to fall, but when the Lord get back, this man, this Pope, Lord going to take him down. But just notice it said tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him, because he's not going to be able to have control over Russia. But they definitely going to keep on poking the bear. Let's go look at something else right quick. Let's go over and look at let's see here. So we let's look at something else. Just gonna check out a quick one. You got anything on that, Nate?
No, sir.
All right. And I'm not gonna read too much on this. I just wanna show you some of the players. That's all. Some of these players. Here's another article pertaining to China launches major military drills, encircling Taiwan in response to U.S. arms sales. So I'm gonna just come down a little bit, and let's just kind of get to the point here. It says the South China Morning Post reported that the Chinese drills, dubbed Justice Mission 2025, were taking place in the waters and airspace of the Taiwan Strait and in areas to the north, southwest, southeast, and east of Taiwan's main island, and were expected to continue on Tuesday. China first conducted drills encircling Taiwan in August 2022 in response to then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island. So keep in mind now, China is once again a major player, a major piece to the puzzle, especially pertaining to the Lord's army. So just keep that in mind, because this is what you want to watch. You want to get understanding on the word, you want to study the Bible, and then also at the same time, just kind of pay attention to the things that are going on around us. So it says the Trump administration announced its approval of 8 separate sales to Taiwan on December 17th, totaling over $11 billion. That was like 13 days ago, which is more than the $8.4 billion in arms sold to Taiwan during the entire Biden administration. Goodness gracious. Wait a minute. Let me read that again. The Trump administration announced its approval of 8 separate sales to Taiwan on December 17th, totaling over $11 billion, which is more than $8.4 billion in arms sold to Taiwan during the entire Biden administration. The deals include a sale worth more than $4 billion for HIMARS, however you say that, rocket systems and related equipment, including Army tactical missile systems, rockets that can be fired from the HIMARS. How you say that, Nate? Is it HIMARS?
It looks like HIMARS to me.
Okay. And can reach the coast of mainland China if fired from Taiwan. So nothing necessarily breaking off right here, but just understand that the pieces to the puzzle are being put in place. Um, Something very important about that. So if you look at this particular section right here, it's funny how the inflation is going up in the world, and you have all these different poor people out here struggling, trying to make it from check to check, but somehow we have all this money for war. Isn't that crazy? Got all this money for war. So Trump on the 17th of December 2025 allotted $11 billion. $11 billion just in this one time frame. And it's like it says here, which is more than $8.4 billion in arms sold to Taiwan during the entire Biden administration. Because at the end of the day, you have these individuals, as far as these Gentiles are concerned, they will eventually crumble. And it seems like they just trying to keep things up for power. So they're gonna find some way to get some money. I find that very, very amazing. But we're gonna move on. Anything on that, Nate?
I did see another article on this, which I just thought it was interesting. I think Taiwan was actually upset that China was doing all these drills in response to the arms sales.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought it was funny that Taiwan was calling China the disruptors of world peace.
They was calling who that?
If I'm not mistaken, Taiwan was calling China the disruptors of world peace.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it seems like to me China's just responding.
Yeah, I think they were doing drills in response to, that $11 billion arms sale.
Right. That's what it looked like. It looked like it's like I said, it's response.
Yeah.
But that's what they do, man. They it's like they throw their rock and hide their hand. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And it looks like America's kind of backing Taiwan up.
Yeah.
Giving them some security, kind of poking the bear a little bit.
Yeah. 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 They just and then always, it's almost like whoever controls the media where we are, they can tell us what they want to tell us. They can say what they want to say, and we can, we more so just kind of buy into it. But it's actually the opposite though. They're the ones that's causing the trouble.
Right.
But let's move on. Let's see here. Do you have anything you want to bring up first? Are you okay?
I have a few articles.
Okay.
But if you have something first, I don't mind.
Okay. I mean, it's cool with me.
Okay. Well, this is from. Well, I have to send it to you since I'm on my iPad. I just sent it to you so you can pull it up.
Where's it in the email?
Yeah, it's in the business email.
Okay. All right. So while I pull that up, I want to play a short video real quick. Let me see which one I want to pull up here. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till last one for one we mentioned this weekend. Let's see here. All right, so Ukraine. We'll pull this one up. All right, so we'll pull that one up. Give me 1 second, guys. We are going to go with. No, we don't want to go with that one. Wait on this one. Let's get hints. All right, let's look at this real quick. I'm gonna play this for us, and which one can you guys see? Okay, you see that one. Okay, cool. All right, so what I want you guys to do, make sure you read the caption, and I'm gonna let it play, and then when we come back, we'll come back to one of our articles.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I can't hear. I can't hear you.
Hold on 1 second, guys.
It may be
Hold on.
on my end.
Hold on 1 second. All right, can you guys hear us in the chat? Let us know. Can you hear both of us? I think Nate went off for some reason. Can you guys let me know if you can hear us in the chat, please? Okay, good. Thank you, Gabriel. Sister Gabriel. I'm going to start it over. All right.
Donald Tusk.
All right, here we go.
Ukraine's post-war. For the first time since the Ukraine war erupted, the idea of American troops on Ukrainian soil is no longer off the table. As peace negotiations intensify, Western leaders are now openly discussing post-ceasefire security guarantees, and Moscow is watching closely. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk confirmed that Washington has declared its readiness to take part in Ukraine's post-war security architecture, including the possible presence of US troops along borders or a future contact line between Ukraine and Russia.
What has been the key effect of the last few days is the U.S. declaration, and this is, of course, something new. Some were even surprised. The U.S. declaration on the readiness of the United States to participate in the security guarantees for Ukraine after the ceasefire, including the presence of the U.S. troops, for example, on the border or on the contact line between Ukraine and Russia.
That signal from the West has triggered an immediate and sharp response from Moscow. Russia is accusing NATO and the European Union of using peace talk language to mask preparations for military confrontation.
Did you guys hear that? Did you hear what he just said? Let me just rewind that real quick. Let me bring that back real quick. I'm gonna put the pay attention to what he just said.
Language to mask preparations for has triggered an immediate and sharp response from Moscow. Russia is accusing NATO and the European Union of using peace talk language to mask preparations for military confrontation.
Okay, so just think about that now. Now think about that, guys, because you know the Bible lets us know that they will cry peace, peace. You know, matter of fact, that was some for us to look out for. You know, and but just notice how they say they come and trying to use the I guess the peace agenda to mask what they're really trying to do. So if you got any sense or any understanding on the word, you know it's not gonna be peace. But most people don't know that. Like you have some people in society that are actually looking for peace, listening to these talking points, thinking that peace is actually gonna come. But if you have any understanding on the word, there's not gonna be any peace. Even with the monks walking across the country. That the Bible talks to us about or warns us about the voluntary humility, right? And Colossians 2, don't be beguiled and stuff like that, because that's all that is. That's all that is. People want peace, and it looks good to everybody else. But guess what? As long as Satan is ruling this world, there is not going to be it won't be any peace at all. Point blank, period. But I just thought that was amazing how he was saying they was doing that to try to mask what their real agenda is. And we know what that is. That's war.
We feel confident, But if we talk about what the European bureaucracy is doing today, first and foremost, those who lead the European Union, those who head NATO, the essence of their policy, the essence of preparing society, the essence of military buildup is to create conditions for a military confrontation with Russia. Unfortunately, this is the reality. But as our president, Vladimir Putin, said, we are ready for any developments, and all necessary measures are being taken to ensure that, under any circumstances, the defense capability of the Russian Federation and its security are 100% guaranteed.
Now, if you pay attention to what the let's see here, if you can actually see NATO's new strategy with U.S. soldiers enforce the Ukraine ceasefire. So, in other words, they're saying now that United States soldiers not going in, not fighting on behalf of Ukraine, that's completely off the table now. You understand? That's off the table. So they will get ready to start sending U.S. soldiers to the war now. You know, so it started off as something like, you know, like a little skirmish and stuff. And here it is, almost 6 years later since Biden got in, we still have the fighting going on. And that's mainly what's going to keep happening. It's just going to keep on building up until the Lord finally brings it to brings the world to its end.
The Kremlin's warning is unambiguous. What NATO describes as deterrence and security guarantees, Moscow frames as deliberate escalation, with Russia claiming it is already preparing for worst-case scenarios. Tensions are also spilling into diplomacy. The European Union is set to impose new movement restrictions on Russian diplomats across the Schengen zone, a move Moscow says will not go unanswered.
I just want to point out, once again, notice what they said. Who else is involved? We got Russia, and pay attention here.
Move Moscow says will not go. The European Union is...
Wait a minute, the who? The European Union, right? Because at the end of the day, these are the two countries, the two countries that's going to actually fight against each other. Now these are all Gentiles; they're all related, you know. But like I said, it's fighting in house. And at the end of the day, these are the two big players in the world that's going to come against each other. Which is why we're starting to see America start to pull back, because it has to happen. In order for this to really start taking place, America's going to have to move.
Set to impose new movement restrictions on Russian diplomats across the Schengen zone, a move Moscow says will not go unanswered.
There is no positive information for us, but measures were already announced in the European Union requiring notification of the movement of Russian diplomats within the Schengen zone from one country to another. They will come into force on January 25th. All aspects of how this will be implemented are not yet clear, but on the other hand, we are taking reciprocal steps based on the principles of reciprocity.
The warning from Moscow is clear. If US troops move closer to Ukraine under the banner of peace, Russia will not treat it as neutral security, but as preparation for confrontation.
Wow. So just wanted to show you guys that right there. Definitely something to keep an eye out for. Let's go look at something right quick. Let's go check out something. Let's go check out something in Zechariah. We'll look at something real quick. Zechariah, I believe is chapter 6. Zechariah 6. I'm gonna open it up first, and then I'm gonna share my screen. Zechariah 6. Because, you know, the Bible already laid it out. All this stuff is going to unfold. So let's just see what the Lord has to say about it. All right, so Zechariah 6. And we are going to start at, I believe it's verse 1. Let me remove this first. All right. All right, Zechariah 6. And all right, go ahead and read. Start at verse 1, please.
And I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass.
Uh-huh.
In the first chariot were red horses, and in the second chariot black horses,
Mm-hmm.
and in the third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot grizzled and bay horses.
Uh-huh. So all these right here, this is symbolic, a representation of angels, in other words. But just notice what it says in verse 1. It says, and I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains. Now in the Bible, mountains in certain places would be pointing to governments or kingdoms. You know what I'm saying? In this case right here, we just talking about these 2 governments or these 2 kingdoms, one and the same as far as family is concerned. However, you can kind of see that they both have their major power in their relative locations. Like, for example, Russia is ruling their country, and can't nobody really mess with them. Same with the European Union. So it says, and I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass. What else?
In the first chariot were red horses, and in the second chariot black horses.
Go ahead.
And in the third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot grizzled and bay horses.
Mm-hmm.
Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, what are these, my Lord?
Referring to these different color horses, right? So Zechariah said he asked the Lord, what are these? What else?
Then I answered and said, verse 5. Mm-hmm. And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. The black horses which are therein go forth into the north country, and the white go forth after them. And the grizzled go forth toward the south country, and the bay went forth and sought to go that they might walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, get you hence, walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth.
Now notice what's going on right here. So if you look at verse 6, right? Well, verse 5, it said, the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of the heavens, just referring to angels here, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. The black horses, which are therein, they go forth into the north country. So the north country, in this case, we talking about Russia. Then it says, and the white go forth after them, and the grizzled go forth toward the south country. So in this case right here, now we're talking about, bringing it back over toward Europe. Then it says, and the bay went forth and sought to go that they may walk to and fro through the earth. So now the remaining angels, the bay says they went forth and sought to go that they may walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, what?
Get you hence. Walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth.
Go ahead. What else?
Then cried he upon me and spake unto me, saying, behold, these that go toward the north country have quieted my spirit in the north country.
Okay, so look at that though. And that's what I wanted to point out. Like, in other words, so, we hear all the different skirmishes, we hear all the different fighting and stuff going on, even basically what we're reading today, right? But at the same time, the Lord is not going to allow anything to jump off. It's not going to really pop off right now because, mainly the Lord got everything at a standstill, in other words. Got everything at a standstill. And that's what these angels are doing. Just kind of got everything held back before it even, before it takes off. But eventually what's going to happen is it's going to be these 2 countries right here that's going to clash in the end. All right. But that's one thing on that. I think we're done with that one. Any input on that, Nate? Or are you good?
I'm good.
All right. Let's go look at something else here. Now, this is pertaining to, I want to see if I want to see this right here. This is pertaining to what happened to Putin's home last night. So we're just going to bring it back once again on this particular channel here. You would have to read the captions first, and then somebody comes out and start talking on it. So let's go ahead and share that real quick. And that's all we want to do is just kind of, like I say, bring out important things that are going on around us. That way, if we kind of, pay attention to it, we won't get caught off guard. So let's see here. This is referring to what happened to Putin's home last night. Peace Talk Saturday. But y'all see, this is getting personal now. Like one thing we know, one thing I've always known since I was a kid, right? Just a young child. One thing that has always been instilled in me is, and probably not just me, but you don't mess with Russia. You do not mess with Russia. You leave Russia alone. And Iran, it goes back super far, as far as knowing these two countries you just don't mess with. But to actually be around now to see that, people are actually testing Russia, that's amazing. Because Russia is, like I said, it's the Lord's army, and man, people don't know, what they're gonna get themselves into. I mean, just with a 200 million man army that's coming, that's a lot of soldiers. Peace. I'm gonna just say Duke online. I says Cab Duke, but peace to you as well. But we're gonna go finish playing it. But I just wanted you to see how they actually hit Putin's home. So now we're getting a little close. Like this is not just soldiers fighting on the front line and in the battlefield. They actually they took a drone and dropped it on his home.
Moscow is pointing straight at London. After an alleged drone strike on President Putin's residence, Russian officials are openly questioning whether Ukraine was merely the front, and British intelligence the hand behind the operation.
I would like to say that this is already becoming common practice. As soon as the negotiation process enters such a delicate phase of searching for solutions, the Ukrainian authorities take provocative steps. As a rule, they act together with their Western curators. First of all, the British style is evident here.
The timing is no coincidence. Days after Western intelligence warnings and hostile rhetoric, Russia says the shadow of MI6 now looms over a brazen attempt to escalate the conflict far beyond the battlefield.
Let's be in no doubt. Our world is more dangerous and contested now than it has been for decades. Conflict is evolving and trust eroding just as new technologies spur both competition and dependence. We are being contested from sea to space, from the battlefield to the boardroom.
For Moscow, this is not about Kyiv acting alone. This is about NATO states, led by Britain, testing red lines, outsourcing risk, and dragging Europe closer to a direct confrontation with Russia.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. What did he just say? Did you hear what he said?
Mm-hmm.
What he said? What? Hold on, let me go back, y'all. Wait a
For
minute.
direct confrontation with Russia.
Who? Wait a minute. Hold on. Who was it? Did it say? Hold on. I didn't get that. I didn't get who he said was trying to do it. Hold on.
With Russia. Led by Britain, testing red lines, outsourcing risk, and dragging Europe closer to a direct confrontation with Russia.
Right. So you guys see that, right? Y'all see that, right? Britain, part of the UK, which is also a part of European Union, trying to bring a direct conflict with Russia. This is why this is important, because while people in church on Sunday shaking it up, shaking it down, doing all that running around, screaming, trying to get money, worrying about all that type of stuff, these are the things that are going on behind the scenes that most people are missing out on. And this is why it's necessary for us to pay attention to what's going on.
We all continue to face the menace of an aggressive, expansionist, and revisionist Russia seeking to subjugate Ukraine and harass NATO. I find it.
How is Russia trying to harass NATO? Russia minding their own business, ain't they, Nate? What is Russia doing? Russia not bothering nobody, huh?
So they poking the bear.
They poking the bear, man. Find that amazing. Wow.
Harrowing that hundreds of thousands have died, with the toll mounting every day because of Putin's historical distortions and his compromised desire for respect. He is dragging out negotiations and shifting the cost of war onto his own population. But Putin should be in no doubt. Our support is enduring. The pressure we apply on Ukraine's behalf will be sustained. Because it is fundamental not just to European sovereignty and security, but to global stability.
You know what, guys? Let's read something right quick. Let's read something. I'm not gonna. Nate, can you go to Revelation 16 right quick? If you guys got your Bible, just go to Revelation 16 right quick. I want to get more familiar with this eastward on here. It gets on my nerve the way it pulls up. But go to Revelation 16 right quick. Let's go look at something real quick. It's gonna be one scripture, and I want you guys to pay attention to how this is. This should make sense right here. Revelation 16 and verse 13 and 14. Revelation 16, 13 and 14. You got your Bible there?
Yes.
Okay, read that for me, please.
And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. Okay,
so you see that? Hey, brother Julius, how you doing, bro? Peace to you. But you guys see that, right? You see how just with the talking, how it's gonna cause things to unfold, because mainly what we're looking at right now, the woman, reading from the podium, she's sitting straight up there lying. She's sitting right up there lying when we know that Europe, Ukraine, they're provoking Russia, but by them sitting up there lying, they're actually gonna cause this war to jump off. But I wanted to point out how you can kind of see what it says in Revelation 16 and 13. It says, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, right? So Satan is the one that's behind it. That's giving them these things to say. Then it says, and out of the mouth of the beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Very key individuals that's really going to be in charge of the war that's coming. But I just want you to kind of see mentally in your mind how they can talk us into a war. like I said earlier, when you control the media, you can mainly put out whatever you want to put out. But let's carry on.
Russian officials argue the pattern is familiar. Western intelligence sets the script, Ukraine executes, and Washington, Brussels, and their Baltic cheerleaders provide political cover.
Alongside the grinding war, Russia is testing us in the grey zone with tactics that are just below the threshold of war. It's important to understand their attempts to bully, fearmonger, and manipulate because it affects us.
Did you see it? Did you see that? Oh, goodness. Who's calling my phone? My daughter's calling me. Go ahead.
I'm talking about cyber attacks on critical infrastructure.
Hold on.
Drones buzzing, airports and bases, aggressive activity in our seas above and below the waves, state-sponsored arson and sabotage, propaganda and influence operations that crack open and exploit fractures within societies.
The alleged attack, according to Moscow, fits into a wider strategy of pressure, covert, deniable, and designed to sabotage any movement toward a negotiated settlement.
The export of chaos is a feature, not a bug, in this Russian approach to international engagement. And we should be ready for this to continue until Putin is forced to change his calculus. We will take calculated risks where the prize is significant and the national interest clear. We will never stoop to the tactics of our opponents, but we must seek to outplay them.
That's
in
amazing.
every domain, in every way. So intelligence must drive action. Action must deliver advantage, and advantage must serve Britain's security and prosperity.
Wow. Wow.
Russia maintains that such actions expose the real drivers of escalation, accusing the EU and NATO of hiding behind proxies while fueling instability from the shadows.
So now this is all in response to them. They actually bombed his house. You know what I'm saying? They bombed this guy's house last night. We talking about Putin, y'all. The guy who is over Russia. They bombed his house last night, and now all of a sudden they flip it around on him. But you know that's just a part of it. But let's go look at something in the Bible right quick. Let's go look at Joel chapter 2. Joel 2, and then we're going to come with the next article. Then after that, we have one more after this, and we'll be done for this evening. But let's go look at Joel 2. And pick this up at verse 1. Joel 2 and verse 1. All right, when you get it going, read that for me.
Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand.
So this is taking us down to end of the world when the Lord get ready to return, right? But before the Lord actually returns, though, we still have, we still got a lot of fighting that's gonna go on, and then on top of that. On top of the fight that's going to take place when the Lord return, between these armies, when the Lord get back, it's going to be more war on top of that. But just look at, I just want to point out, and I want people just to pay attention to, I think we brought it out last week, but just pay attention to how powerful this army is. Go ahead. Read it again.
Verse 1.
Yep.
Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand.
So we haven't got here yet. This right here, actually, the sixth trumpet that's being blown. But notice what it says. Say, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. What else to say?
A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations.
Okay, so now look at this, because it's going to be a bad time, right? It say, look, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There have not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Because, like we saw last week, this particular army here consists of 200 million soldiers, you know, and what we kind of moving toward, it's going to be a bad time. But notice how powerful they are. Verse 3.
A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained, all faces shall gather blackness.
Now hold it right there. Go over to Isaiah 13 right quick. Go over to Isaiah 13. So just let you know it's gonna be a bad time. When them guys come through there, they gonna tear stuff up. That's why, you know how it is when you keep bothering somebody, and when they finally rise up on you, when they finally take off on you, they come with all type of strength, all type of power, and they hurt you to the point where hey man, okay, I ain't messing with that individual no more. Well, that's exactly what's gonna happen with Russia here. They're gonna keep on bothering them until they finally snap. Isaiah 13, and pick it up at verse 13. Isaiah 13 and 13, and we're gonna go back.
Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger.
Now this is, we getting down to the end. That's how when the Lord returns, it's not gonna be just some old, how mainly everybody sees it now today. They kind of see the Lord coming back, and it's almost like it's gonna be in secret, which is why people are looking forward to a rapture. But look, it's gonna be a grand entrance when the Lord returns. It's gonna be it ain't gonna be none secretive about it at all. Notice what he said he's gonna do. He said, therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place. The earth gonna remove out of her place. In the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. Go ahead.
And it shall be as the chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land.
That's right, because this is what's gonna happen when the Lord returns. Look, after the Lord finishes tearing this place up, it's almost like we can't do nothing. Usually you have people come together and communities come together, try to rebuild once some damage is done. But in this case right here, look, the damage is gonna be so bad, ain't nobody gonna be able to do nothing. They're just gonna go back home and sit down, because this right here, it's gonna take the Lord to prepare this mess, because it's gonna be a worldwide destruction. He said it shall be as a chased road, meaning, look, like you driving down the street, you see some roadkill in the road, or you see a dead deer on the side of the road. What, you just keep on going, don't you? You don't even stop to pick it up. Gonna be as a chased road, and as a sheep that no man take up, they shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land. But notice who the Lord is gonna use to get this done. What is saying, verse 17?
Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them.
Okay. Now this hadn't happened yet. But these individuals we talking about here are this is the army that we're referring to. This is the same people that we watching on these videos now. These links that we're looking at. This is who we're referring to. Russia. That's why I say, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard what?
Silver. And as for gold, they shall not delight in it.
That's right, because look, it's time for war. You're not gonna be able to pay them to turn around and go back. You're not gonna be able to pay them off so they can just stop. Look, it's too late now. But this is what this is all building up to. It's all building up to us getting to the end and war starting. World War III, as a matter of fact. Now, this right here is not even World War III. World War III is going to take place when Jesus actually set his foot on this earth. This right here, this is the build up in a sense. What is saying, verse 18?
Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children.
That's right. Why? Because in war, like they say, all's fair in love and war, right? All's fair. They ain't gonna have no pity on nobody. That's why it'd be good for us to get to the place of safety. But look, at this time, it's gonna be a bad time. But I just want you to see, in your mind how they're being provoked. How the European Union, they keep coming at them, they keep pushing at them. But eventually, this is what we're gonna get down to. But that's all I want to show now. Let's go look at a response on what one of Putin's diplomats said pertaining to what happened last night, because they're blaming it. They're saying that Ukraine, the prime minister, whatever you have them over Ukraine, whatever those guys are. I know we got president in the United States, but me not living over there, I'm not sure what it is. It might be prime minister. What is it? Is it prime ministers?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that what it is? Well, the leaders of the country. So in this case, Putin getting hit last night. One of his diplomats come out and talks about what the president of Ukraine need to watch out for. They done made him upset. They done made Russia upset. So I'm gonna pull this up right quick. Hold on, we were already kind of far past it, right?
What's that?
We had already watched this video, right? We watched a pretty good amount. We haven't watched this yet?
I'm not sure what were you talking about. The one we just watched?
Yeah, because I know I think I had two of them, but I think they're pretty similar. Let me see here.
The last one.
Not right there. What was the last one?
It wasn't this one.
Okay. All right.
When it was MI6 talking.
Okay. All right. So let's watch this one, guys. We'll be right back. That dude's a boss, y'all. He's a boss, man. Not the boss of us, but I'm saying, like, in the Gentile world, leaders of Russia, man, them guys don't play.
An alleged drone attack on Russian President Vladimir Putin's residence has triggered an explosive chain reaction across Moscow and Washington. Russia claims Ukraine attempted to strike Putin's state residence in the Novgorod region, an accusation Kyiv denies, but one that has now become the flashpoint for threats, warnings, and rising pressure on the peace process.
The stinking Kiev bastard is trying to derail the settlement of the conflict. He wants war. Well, now at least he'll have to stay in hiding for the rest of his worthless life.
That threat came.
Y'all heard that? He say the president, the guy in Ukraine, got to stay in hiding for how long? The rest of his life. The rest of his life, y'all.
Came from former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, reacting directly to the alleged attack on Putin's residence. The language is raw, personal, and deliberate. Moscow's message is clear. Targeting the Russian leader's home is being framed not just as an act of war, but as a personal red line. Russia's Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, then elevated the accusation from political threat to official state position, laying out Moscow's version of events and formally blaming Kyiv for what he called a terrorist act.
On the night from 28 to 29th of December 2025, the Kyiv regime carried out a terrorist attack using 91 long-range attacking drones against the state residence of the Russian president in the Novgorod region. All drones were destroyed by the air defense systems of the Russian armed forces. No information has been received regarding casualties or damage caused by drone debris.
Lavrov said the alleged strike on Putin's residence came at the worst possible moment during intensive negotiations between Russia and the United States. He warned that retaliatory targets and timing have already been identified, even as Moscow claims it will not walk away from talks. The allegation then reached the White House. US President Donald Trump confirmed he was briefed directly by Putin and reacted with visible anger, signaling that an attack on a leader's home crosses a dangerous threshold.
You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. That's no good. It's no good.
Russian officials
Don't forget, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, it's a delicate period of time.
Right.
This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they're offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that. And can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it.
Ukraine has dismissed the claim as another Russian lie designed to sabotage peace talks. But the damage is already unfolding. From Medvedev's threat to Lavrov's warning of retaliation to Trump's public anger, every reaction now centers on one explosive allegation. An attack on Putin's residence that risks tipping diplomacy into a far more dangerous phase.
You know what, guys? I want y'all to pay attention to something. So y'all see how the Israelites, how we wake up and we go out there, we be cussing out the white man and stuff like that, and we talk, trying to have white folks kiss our boots and all that type of stuff. Do y'all see what type of power we don't have? Like when you look at those when you look at those individuals, those Gentiles, Putin and Trump and the other guy and all that type, like those are world rulers. We ain't nowhere in that conversation. We're nowhere in that conversation. Like just with artillery, the military equipment they have, they can wipe us out at any given time. That's why it's just important for us just to serve God. You know what I'm saying? Serve God and do our job and preach the gospel. The Lord is gonna have to take them down. We ain't even a fly on the wall. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that based on like all the stuff that we be talking about, knocking out, death to America and all that type of stuff we be saying. Look, we got to rely on the Lord to fight these battles. Because it just kind of rung a bell in my head when I seen Putin walking up to Trump. Man, we ain't even close to that. We ain't even close to that. The Lord, absolutely, Sister Gabriel. The Lord got them in power. So what would be best for us to do is just sit back and just do our job and let the Lord take care of that. And then on top of that, just kind of looking at how they provoking the guy, man. I just thought that's kind of strange. But one thing I wanted to point out, y'all, before we actually get to the last video, I wanted to show y'all something. Or the last couple, I want to show you something, and I'm gonna share it real quick. I'm gonna just share what I saw on YouTube. All right, just to show y'all how things are changing. Like as we speak, here it is. We in here talking about, different things that are going on, and look at one of the things I just saw. All right, so can y'all see that right there? Russia goes full war mode. Putin orders 365-day conscription. Let's see. Let's just open it up. I'm gonna open it up and let's see what that says. And when I say I'm talking about the title, just the title alone.
If you aspire to do,
I'm not gonna. I just want to see what that. I'll put it on mute because I don't want to hear the commercial. Let's see here. Let me see what they're talking about. So what is a conscription? Hey, can you look that up? That's what it says for. Oh wow, permanent long war, military. Whoa, wait a minute. Wait. Hold on 1 second. Did y'all see that? Y'all see that right now? Military draft now, constant, no pause. Lord have mercy. Man. All right, well. I guess what I'll do is we can look at it. We'll kind of study it over this week and then come back to it next week and give an update on that, what's going on. All right, so one more thing, well, two more things I want. Say it again.
Looks like it's some sort of draft.
Conscription is? Wow.
Yeah. Says
okay, thank you.
Legal requires citizens, usually young men, to serve in the military for a set period.
Wow, that's crazy. Man, that's crazy. See, we're not here to try to bring any fear and none of that because our fear is in the Lord, but we just want to point it out so everybody can see what's going on. That's all. Because like I was on TikTok and I was listening to it today. People on there, they fussing over the Bible, and it's really useless for us to do something like that because first and foremost, we are the priest of God, and the Lord has given us real understanding on His word. So it'd be a waste of time to get off into those things and fuss back and forth. What would be more beneficial and for edification, as far as edification is concerned, is for us to look at what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? So we can actually watch the Bible come off the pages, and we just prepare ourselves properly. So we're gonna. Y'all want to watch that? It's 4 minutes. You want to check it out? We ain't gonna hold y'all all night. So we're gonna close that one out, and then we're gonna bring up one more that I have in the history, two more, and they're pretty short. I just want to show you. I'm gonna show you at the end who else is on the scene. She said, "Yeah, she want to see it." Let's see here. All right, we'll watch it. Let's go. Let's go and check it out.
Russia is preparing for a long war. In a move that locks the country into a permanent military footing, President Vladimir Putin has signed a sweeping decree ordering year-round conscription across 2026. For the first time in modern Russian history, the draft will run without pause from January 1 to December 31.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. You hear that, Nate?
Mm-hmm.
You say the draft gonna go from January 1 to December? Man. Wow. That's a draft for a whole year, man. Like these are families, sons being called up for war, y'all. Now, we're not talking about people that's in the military now. We're not talking about people on, that's in the reserve. We're talking about people that, people just like living regular lives. Putin said, we finna start a conscription. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Let me go and play this. I was not prepared for that one. Man. Wow, that's crazy.
261,000 men, aged 18 to 30, to be drafted into compulsory military service next year.
Wow.
This single decree replaces the traditional spring and autumn draft orders, signaling that Russia is no longer treating manpower as a seasonal requirement, but as a constant wartime necessity. Under the decree, draft officers will operate continuously. Summonses can be issued year-round. Medical examination, psychological screening, and draft commission hearings will no longer be limited to short windows. The message is clear. Military bureaucracy is being converted into a permanent mobilization machine. While conscription procedures will run all year, the dispatch of recruits to military units will still happen in 2 waves, from April to July and from October to December. At the same time, the decree orders the discharge of soldiers and non-commissioned officers whose compulsory service terms expire in 2026, keeping the manpower pipeline moving. Alongside this, Putin has signed a second decree activating Russia's mobilization human reserve. Reservists will be sent to special training assemblies to guard critical infrastructure and key civilian facilities. This internal militarization frees up professional forces for combat roles, even as Moscow insists this is not a new wave of mass mobilization. Coming after the autumn 2025 draft of 135,000 men, and amid reports of draft evasion, immigration, and battlefield losses, the 2026 plan marks a turning point. Russia is not signaling de-escalation. It is building a sustainable war economy of manpower, quietly preparing society for a conflict with no clear end.
Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Goodness gracious, boy. It's really amazing to me, Nate, because, you know, we talked about, I used to hear about this coming up, you know what I'm saying? And I was, you know, 50 now. So I remember, like, when I was about 8, I don't know if people old enough in the chat to remember. There was a movie that came out back in the day. It was called The Day After, and it was mainly a war that happened between America and Russia, you know, and that's when nukes and stuff like that would drop in the movie, and it scared the living hell out of me, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But to actually see like this stuff, you know, picking up like this now, to be alive, it's amazing at the same time. So, but man, that was unexpected, but hey, it's all a part of the channel. All right, so let's go look at something else, and then we're going to go to the last one. We're going to look at this right here first, and then we're going to come to the last one. Do you have anything, Nate, that you want to bring up? Or you okay or what?
No, I'm good. I'm just taking it all in, really.
Okay. Yeah, right. You and me both. All right, so this is what somebody presented to us this past Saturday at church, right? In the class, it was pertaining to Jesus, the stone that the builders rejected, right? And so we kind of went into Daniel chapter 2, showing how that stone is going to come and knock down the final part of the Gentile dynasty, being the 10 toes, right? And you know, those 10 toes, like I say, being the European Union and stuff like that. Once we brought that up, a brother was in town from Gary, and he showed us this video. It was a conversation. The guy's at the podium. He's a part of the UK, and this happened a month ago. And I'm going to put the caption on at the bottom because it's a lot of wind going on in the background, but I'm going to put the caption on so you guys can actually hear what he's saying. Because, you know, like the Lord told Daniel, that is determined shall be. Like it's gonna happen, y'all. So notice what the language is in this particular press conference. So it's taking a little time now. They're just walking up, and that guy in the center, he's the one that's gonna be doing the talking. Like I said, I got the captions on because I want y'all to read the captions.
significant today is that this carrier and the flotilla of ships it's led for nearly 8 months around the world, 40,000 nautical miles, has demonstrated that when 10 nations, 20 other ships during that time come together, we can.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did y'all see that? Did you guys see that? Did you guys see what he just said? Let me go back again. Let me come back again and pay attention to what he just said. Now this is the European side of things. Now keep in mind the European Union, they gonna narrow down to 10. Once they narrow down to 10, like Nate, we're gonna look at Revelation. We're gonna go to Revelation 17 and verse 12. Revelation 17 and verse 12. We're gonna check that out. But it's gonna narrow down to 10, right? So notice what he gonna say, y'all. No, pay attention to what he gonna say. Because he's talking about, the warfare and the stuff that they have is good enough to supply 10 nations. Watch this.
And the flotilla of ships it's led for nearly 8 months around the world, 40,000 nautical miles, has demonstrated that when 10 nations, 20 other ships during that time come together, we can operate in a way that has not been seen before. So this is a first. This allows us to say this carrier, with its associated ships and allies, with its planes on board here, is a mission-ready, combat-ready carrier available to NATO to help deter Russia and any adversaries.
To help deter who? To help deter Russia. 10 nations, man, coming together to help deter Russia.
Might consider doing any of our nations in NATO any harm.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's all we need right there, y'all. That was last month. That was last month. Nate, read Revelation 17, please. Revelation 17. And then we're gonna go to the last one. We got to bring in somebody very important to kind of top this off. But let's look at what it says here. Revelation 17. And let's pick this up at verse 11. Revelation 17 to verse 11.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony.
Where you at?
They loved Revelation 13. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. All good.
And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him.
11?
Oh, 11. I'm sorry.
17 in verse 11.
Oh, 17. I'm sorry.
And
the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seventh, and goeth into perdition. Okay, so notice what it's saying here. It's saying the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, right? Because in other words, the beast that's gonna come up, he gonna come up out of the Gentile dynasty, right? He gonna come up out of the Gentile dynasty, but as we get down toward the end, like it says here, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth and is of the seven. Because in other words, it's still gonna be Russia, right? Now, I mean, it's still gonna be Rome. Like, for example, when you think about it, right? You got starting off with Nebuchadnezzar, that's one. Okay. Then you get down to the Medo-Persian Empire, that's two. Then you get down to Alexander the Great, or as Alexander the Greek. Since he didn't live long, he was cut off. He died, in other words. He didn't have anybody to succeed him. Well, you have four of his generals that came up, and then the kingdom kind of spread it. So that too, the beginning of the Gentile dynasty with Nebuchadnezzar, then the Medo-Persian Empire, that's two. And then the four that came up in the stead of Alexander, that makes six. Then after the Greek Empire fell, then Rome came up. That makes number 7 right there. However, Rome just, Rome in the minds of the world
is not in power anymore. But like I say all the time, when I was a young man, a kid in school, they was teaching us Roman numerals over here in America, teaching us Roman numerals. And then in addition to that, like I say, you got this big football Super Bowl coming up next month. Well, in February. Why is it laid out? Why is it given to us in Roman numerals? And then on top of that, the most detrimental thing of all, everything that we got going on as far as religion is concerned, for the most part, everything comes out of Rome. So in the minds of the world, Rome is don't exist anymore. But no, it has it, like it says early in other, I think early in this chapter here, or it might be 13. I'm not sure. I can't call it offhand. But it said it has a deadly wound that was healed. The wound for Rome was so bad, but it's still not completely dead though. It just had a bad wound. That's why I said it had a deadly wound that was healed. So out of those 7 nations, all the way down to Rome, you got another beast that's going to come up. And guess what? But he's still coming out of the previous 7, which is why he's number 8, but he's still of the Gentile dynasty, which is why it says here, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and he going to do what? And is of the 7, and he going to do what?
Goeth into perdition.
And he going to go into perdition. How is he going to go into perdition? Because he going to come back. He didn't die. He going to come back. The world think Rome is dead, but we know better, right? We know better. And we're going to show you we know better in a second. What else it say?
And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings.
Oh, look at that. It said the 10 horns which thou saw what?
10 kings.
Are 10 kings. Now, this guy on this video just said that they got 20 ships for the 10 nations. Now, the European Union at this particular time, if you can look it up, Nate, in ChatGPT, ask Will how many nations are in the European Union at the moment. And let's see what we got. Last I checked, I think it was 28. From what I understood, that might have been a while back. I want to see where we at now, though. And then, you got anything?
How many nations are in the European Union? Let's see. 27.
27. So now, why did this guy just mention 10? You know why? Because the Bible lets you know it's going to end up being 10 nations. They're going to come together. And that's what we're reading here in Revelation 17 and 12 here. It says, in the 10 horns which thou saw are 10 kings. These 10 kings going to come together. What else it say?
Which have received no kingdom as of yet. But receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
But look at that though. They're gonna receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. You know what they're gonna do? This 1 hour we talking about, this hour we talking about is the great tribulation. What else it say in verse 13?
These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
That's right. They're gonna give their power. They're gonna come together on one accord and they're gonna work for the Pope. And the Pope gonna have a military man over all 10 of these nations, and he gonna instruct them on what they need to do. And guess what? If you're not bound down to their God, they coming after you. They coming after you. That's what this hour we talking about is our temptation of the great tribulation. But just pay attention to the language. How are we in 2026? And mainly everything, the clocks are still moving, everything's still going on. And then you got this man talking about 10 nations coming together. See, you ain't got to believe the Bible. It don't matter whether you believe it or not. Like Romans 3 said, let God be true and every man a liar. You can mock at us, like people making a whole lot of videos mocking at the Hebrews and stuff like that. That's fine. Do what you want to do. But I guarantee you this book is going to come to pass. It's already starting to happen. Let's go to one more. That's it on that right there. Let's go check out one more. One more item right here. Just think that's real amazing, man. Just think that's amazing. But we got to pull in the big dog, y'all. Got to pull in the big dog. Let me see if I can. Okay, I'm gonna skip this, and then I'm gonna get it ready. All right, we got to bring the big dog in. It wouldn't make sense if we don't bring him in. Let's see here. All right. All right. See it says Russia launches drone attack in Ukraine. Putin speaks with Pope Leo. I don't even know. I don't forgot Roman numerals.
Headlines for you. Russia carried out an overnight drone attack in Ukraine's northeastern city of Kharkiv. The country's interior minister said it injured 18 people and damaged several apartment buildings. Yesterday, President Trump said Russian President Vladimir Putin told him by phone the Kremlin plans to respond to Ukraine's drone strike on Russian air bases from Sunday. CBS News foreign correspondent Remi Inocencio joins us now from London with more on this. Good morning, Remi. In addition to speaking to Trump, Putin spoke with the Pope. What did we learn from those calls?
Errol, yeah, good morning. Well, Putin apparently had different kinds of discussions with both leaders. One, a little bit more about war. One, a little bit more about peace. With Putin...
Wait, hold on. Can I ask y'all something? Why in the world does Putin have to talk to the Pope? Because that's the king of the world. That's why he got to talk to the Pope. What the Pope got to do with this? The Pope ain't got nothing to do with this. So we think, right? But why is Putin talking to the Pope? Look, the Pope is from America. I think he's over in Rome right now, but he's from America, ain't he? And then you got Ukraine, you got America, you got Russia, all these different fighting wars going on. Why is one of the biggest nations in the world, countries in the world, going to talk to the Pope, y'all? Just pay attention to that, because that's the king of the world.
Trump said that Putin would, quote, very strong.
I'll bring it back.
Kinds of discussions with both leaders. One, a little bit more about war. One, a little bit more about peace. With Putin, Trump said that Putin would, quote, very strongly take action against Ukraine to strike back against the drone strikes we talked about earlier this week, those really brazen strikes that hit those Russian air bases. Kyiv says these took out more than 40 military bombers. And you can see on Truth Social, Trump posted that his call with Putin was a good conversation, but not a conversation that would lead to immediate peace. As for Putin's call with Pope Leo, more about peace. This was their first known direct call since he became Pope last month. The Vatican said that the pontiff appealed to Putin to take action that would favor peace. That includes things like more prisoner swaps, more aid for Ukraine, and the return of Ukrainian children abducted by Russia. But we know that Leo's leverage as a religious figure is, of course, limited to any, we could say, perceived moral authority and diplomatic strength that he might have.
Yeah, and despite the pontiff's call for peace and President Trump saying he could bring an end to this war, you've got Russian forces still attacking. What is the latest on the battlefield?
Yeah, still attacking, still advancing even further into Ukraine, Errol. And Russia's actually reportedly advancing at its fastest pace this year. This is according to a Ukrainian online mapping project called Deep State that many of us who've been covering this war do follow. In Sumy yesterday, you see that on your screen there, Russian drones hit a food warehouse and emergency workers ran for cover. Ukrainian officials said that Russian attacks killed at least 3 people in the past 24 hours, wounding more than 30 others yesterday. This is in both Sumy as well as in Kharkiv. There you see them trying to put out a fire at a building. And the fear here is that Sumy's regional capital, which is under constant targeting, may very well fall soon. Errol.
All right. Remi Inocencio from London. Thank you, Remi.
3 people in the past 24 hours, wounding more than, and the return of Ukrainian children abducted by Russia. But we know that Leo's leverage as a religious figure is, of course, limited to any, we could say, perceived moral authority. And
so y'all see that, right? So y'all see that they say his authority is limited, right? Yeah, it's limited for now. If his authority is limited, why we got to talk to the Pope? You know what I'm saying? Why we got to talk to him? Why is he advising, Putin to return some kids and some prisoners? No, fool, you bomb my house. I ain't worried about no. You see, Putin ain't concerned about that, right, Nate? Putin like, nah, bro. Y'all bomb my house, man. Hey, Go call let all y'all, put out the memo. All y'all, the draft is on and popping. Talking about peace and return some doggone prisoners. No, it's on and popping. But I just wanted y'all to see that we couldn't end this without showing you the king. You know, we had to show y'all the king. So that's it for tonight, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and Lord willing, we look forward to being back next Tuesday.